Hope you're having a great day. Let's get started. By the time Martin Bashir came on the scene, Diana had already been beset by people in Charles's camp staging a campaign to discredit her. They were calling her crazy, she's unhinged, she's unstable, she ought to be locked up. They were spreading this rumor amongst themselves and the elite, and indeed leaking it to newspapers, to people in the press that they knew. So word was getting around, and this was going on for quite some time. Was worried her phones were being tapped, which they discovered actually were. She had by this time already given that handwritten note to her lawyer, to her butler Paul Burrell, and I think there was one other note distributed, but I can't remember to whom. Anyway, in this handwritten note, she expressed fear that Prince Charles had a plan to have her killed in a car accident. So that's very concerning. So she was already paranoid a bit, about the phone tapping, this worry. She already knew that everybody in his circle was spreading these rumors about her state of mind. So I think even without Bashir's interference, which we'll get to in a minute, Diana would have done an interview anyway, and I think she viewed it as an insurance policy. If I put my whole truth out there, if I tell everything that's going on, everything that I know, they'll know I know. I'll There's safety in that. There's safety in sort of coming out with the information kind of ahead of the game, and I think that's what she was thinking at the time. But unbeknownst to her, Martin Bashir had a graphic artist that worked for the BBC cook up false banking documents and other documents that showed that even members of Diana's staff were on the take to provide information. They were getting paid to spy on her, basically, was the premise of Martin Bashir's scheme. Now, what he did was he took these falsified, faked up documents to Earl Spencer and expressed great concern that this was going on. He hooked in Earl Spencer that way. So, of course, the Earl Spencer went to Diana, showed her the documents, or copies of them, whatever. Apparently, Earl Spencer took copious notes of the meetings he had with Martin Bashir. I believe there was more than one. And anyway, yeah, he told Diana what was going on and said, look at these documents, this kind of thing. So she was even, her state of mind, her worry was even elevated by the time that she got to the interview. Now, as a result of that interview, Diana lost her HRH. She was told to divorce Charles. She lost a lot of credibility with even some of her own supporters that thought she should never have done an interview in the first place. So she was in a pretty rough spot. Now, as we come to find out, which nobody knew at the time, this background of Martin Bashir's working Earl Spencer and working Diana and the fraudulent documents, this all comes out What does the BBC do? They do an internal investigation. And even though they come to the conclusion that, yeah, he used mocked up documents, the only one that got into trouble out of all of this was the graphic artist that did the work. And he had worked for the BBC before. Presumably, this was just another job. He was mocking up pieces of paper for props in some show. That's how he approached this. That's what all he thought it was. Well, it took him 20 years to rehabilitate his reputation after being involved in this scheme. Nothing happened to Martin Bashir. He did go to the States for a while. He did the infamous Michael Jackson interview and some other work there as well. When he came back to England, the BBC took him on again as a religious correspondent of all things. At least out of sight, out of mind. He's not front and center all the time. But yeah, they took him back. Nothing to see here. Well, subsequently, we've had another investigation by Lord Dyson, that had quite different results. He concluded that Martin Bashir engaged in deceit, fraud, all kinds of this, and that this should really be investigated. He smashed the original BBC internal investigation and said it, it was sorely lacking. So it was obvious. It was obvious to him that shady things had gone on, and his recommendation was that, a proper police investigation should be conducted around, because it was such a serious issue. I mean, Princess Diana and her subsequent death, and everything in between. But the police decided, oh, nothing to see here. We're not gonna investigate this. This is fine. So Martin Bashir gets a walk. And in Lord Dyson's report, he concluded that the BBC covered this all up. And isn't that interesting? So, if Martin Bashir was just a little evil genius that cooked up this plan all his own to get that interview with Princess Diana, don't you think he would have been, if not prosecuted, investigated properly for this kind of activity? No, completely protected. The only other assumption we can come to is that there was a plot, a plan, a conspiracy to take the princess down. And we got to look at, well, if that's the case, who would the players be? We have no clue, although I think there's hints at the people that were around Charles at the time. He knew a lot of people because of his station in life, a lot of influential, important people. And they were, Diana's crazy, she's off her rocker, she's a danger. She's got mental illness, she's got a personality disorder. Would it cross the mind of any of these people that perhaps had contacts with the BBC or Martin Bashir to say, you know what, we've got to do something? What we're doing isn't working. Just talking isn't working. We've got to come up with a plan. Was it a plan? Were friends of Charles or just supporters of Charles, elitists, wanted something? Well, if this were the case. We'll obviously never find out who or how, but we know somebody else other than Martin Bashir at the BBC had to know all about it. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been a cover up. So, the responsibility lies not just with Martin Bashir, but all the people in the shadows. And I don't think we'll ever learn the truth about this, and I don't think justice will ever be served. Thanks, everybody. Like and subscribe and leave me a comment, and we'll see you in the next one.